This one right here, we're live. We're good, Fitz.
Hallelujah! All my New South Empire, wonderful and fantastic fun family of winners. This your winner. Fits you, Sergio Feed for Self. That's right. We're here for another episode of the Winners Podcast. Tonight we're bemored with the presence of political activist, strategist, researcher, Mr. Samuel Blue, and that also that deep ass researcher, Miss Andrea Fennell. They call her FBA Goddess, the Twitter Queen. Welcome, guys. Glad to see y'all again. We got some more hot topics. As y'all know, this show is fact checked, highly controversial, but informative. So, look, with that being said, even though God created Adam first, we're going to let you go first, Andrea, all right? What you want to talk about today on the Winners Podcast?
Well, we're talking about Carmelo Anthony, the young man who is accused of stabbing Austin Metcalf at school during a track meet. I've been doing my little research and come to find out that it was some problem with between them two, whether they knew each other or not. It was over a girl that they got in a little scuffle with the twins were supposedly allegedly jumping on the on Carmelo in a party about a week or two ago, and then what was said also is that it was brought to the track, and which was the reason why the stabbing took place. And so Carmelo wants to do self-defense because he's saying that they came to attack him, so he was trying to protect himself. So it's a big thing, running on social media now, where different sides are saying whether it is self-defense or not, or why did he bring a knife to the track meet and things of that nature. Also, they were talking, putting each other up against each other. My thing is that we had a situation where we had Daniel Penny in New York who strangled an innocent person, and they deemed him as a hero. But now we have Carmelo who said that this is self-defense, but he's the bad person now. So it's just everything rolling on social media, talking about the different sides, and everybody has their opinion. But and also there is a GoFundMe that is up for Carmelo, so that he can be get his defense, so that he would be able to pay for that. So I think they hit their
Hold on.
mark on
Are
that.
you talking about the Carmelo Anthony that played basketball, NBA player?
No, we're talking about a young child, Carmelo with a K, not C.
Oh, okay. All right. So
So
now
no,
let's
two
let's
different
get
people.
this. Okay, now help me get this straight, okay? All right, please, y'all bear with me. Uh this Carmelo and what's his name? His name Anthony too?
Mm-hmm.
Carmelo Anthony is a track star.
A high schooler.
High school track star.
Mm-hmm.
The other gentleman, his name is
The other one is Austin Metcalf. He was a football player.
football player. They both are people of color. Huh?
No, no. Carmelo is black, and Austin was a white guy, a white young football. I mean, high school student.
Which one got stabbed?
Austin, the white
And
boy.
did he perish?
He did.
Okay. So Austin allegedly attacked Carmelo, and
Him and his
Carmelo
twin brother.
and his twin brother.
Mm-hmm.
So he was a bold ass YT boy.
Yes, him and his
Okay.
brother jumped on Carmelo at a party, and it was said that that's what they were doing. They had video out there where it's showing that he was fighting Carmelo. So that's why the stabbing took place.
Okay. So what makes this a big issue? What's the issue? What state was this in? Is there a self defense law in that state?
The state, I'm not sure about the state. I can't remember. You know the states in. I'm not sure exactly what the state was, but that's
Uh,
what Carmelo is wanting, self-defense. That's what he's saying. So I
Oh,
don't
you
know
do you
about
have an
this.
idea what state it was in, Sam? Because that
no,
makes a
not
big difference, you know.
yeah,
Well, you know, because
not right offhand. I was waiting for the actual discovery because, as Andrea said, like there's a lot of stuff on TikTok and Instagram stories, and like it could be a perspective. Anybody like in media, videographers know that you can cut, splice. So uh, I'm just waiting to see what the discovery says before you know I look at like who I feel may have been in the wrong and who's not, because it's so much stuff out there, and it's way towards either side. There's stuff out there advocating for self-defense. There's there's information and clips out there, a lot of them out there about, he intentionally sat under that team's tent to do something. So I just tell, I always tell people when it comes to things like that, just to stand by, and wait for the discovery to get released, because I think this is still new. They're still interviewing a lot of people. And then, I guess so. I believe the law is like 3 days they're supposed to release a report, law enforcement office.
well,
Oh, so is it Texas?
I see where Sawyer, my engineer, put up. I think it happened in Frisco.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what the law is in California on that, but I do want to say I'm curious. And FBA Goddess Andrea, how are you tying that to the the McKinney story in New York? That's a whole different
The penny.
scenario.
Um, because of the fact that, they are saying that he is a hero for, choking out a homeless guy. I mean, he wasn't really messing and trying to hurt anybody or whatever, but they say he's a hero by doing that to an innocent person. But yet we have this young track star who was supposedly, allegedly, um getting jumped on by somebody, and he defended himself, but yet they are taking him to jail and not, allowing him to, cause say that that's self-defense.
Hold on. You saying, okay, first of all, just
Hmm.
because that dude was homeless, that don't excuse him to threaten, act wildly like
He
an
didn't put his hands
animal.
on
I don't
anybody
know.
though.
Hold on. I don't think you've seen the same video I seen. uh, to act wildly, to act like an animal. And that dude definitely wasn't innocent. That dude had a track record of doing that on the regular in the subway. I'd have
That
choked
don't
the
give
shit out
nobody
of
can.
me personally. I'd have choked the shit out of him too, for real, and wouldn't have wanted the hero accolades or anything. I don't see how that even compares to this situation, but to each his own. Uh, yeah,
There were
and,
two.
and
There were
and to
two
me,
football players that are heavy, big guys, next to a track star who's lean, jumping on him, and also came to the track to do the same thing. So he was defending himself against two people. That's a difference.
I don't think he should be charged. I think it should. I think it should be weighed out and let legal take the legal actions take their course and see, and do a thorough investigation. If he laid in wait to harm him, that's something totally different. But if he was preparing himself to defend himself, no, they should leave that boy alone. Yeah,
Yeah, but they
and
rushed to judgment on him, and, throwing him in jail, saying he committed murder, all of that. They did all of that, but then they held somebody else as a hero for, killing somebody. Whether he was acting like whatever you say he was acting like, the case, but he wasn't, beating on anybody and all that kind and that on that train, regardless of what he did previously. We're talking about what he did that day. Because Daniel Penny wasn't on them previous occasions. He was on that particular occasion where he took his went ahead and choked somebody to death, and nobody had no problem with saying, "I mean, gosh, he's a hero and he shouldn't be locked up," and nobody had no problem with that. But Carmelo Anthony is being killed in the eyes of society when it comes to even off of the internet, but on the internet he's being drugged.
Okay,
They're
so
showing different pictures of him holding guns, but yet there also is pictures of Austin and his family holding guns, but nobody's saying anything about that. They're saying
okay,
that Carmelo is a thug, but not Austin.
the fight was initiated by the football player Austin Mc. Uh,
Allegedly, yeah, it's supposedly, yeah.
allegedly,
Over
allegedly,
a girl.
the football player started it,
Yes.
and he started it with two other guys.
No, he started it too, like a week or two ago at a party they were at.
Right, and then when did this happen? Yesterday, today.
Oh no, it happened. I think it was last week, sometime last week.
So now they got what is the guy a minor? The one that they got locked up.
Yeah, both of them are.
Both of them are minors. That's gonna have to go through juvie, and more than likely, that's gonna be thrown out. That's gonna be self defense. Like I said, it's gonna be based on the law of that state. But what I noticed, no shade thrown, okay? What I noticed is just because the one that's locked up and did the killing or whatever, because he's black, it's always, oh, woe is me. You know what I'm saying? Oh, they're torturing the black boy because he stabbed a white boy. I think they do that
Well,
to anybody. I think they would do that
no,
to anybody that stabbed another person. They
that
would
ain't
lock
what's
them
being
up.
said.
They would lock them up and do the same thing. And people
No, they
gonna
ain't
talk.
fast on locking up no white person. Now you know that ain't even true.
That's very true. I look.
Okay.
I can give you many examples of so many white people that I ain't always been a good guy. I was in the game, and I had so many white friends that was bout it, and they got locked up, and my black friends
I'm
didn't.
talking about as a whole. I'm not talking
Yeah,
about just a
yeah.
small sector. I'm talking about as a whole. When it comes to us, we do not have the complexion for the protection. We don't have that. So
I'm not. I refuse to take. I think that's a cop out. I really do. I really think that's a cop out. I really do. I really, on my mama, like that song
you can
say.
think that, but it's not.
I think that's a
It's
cop out.
fact.
Yeah.
It's fact that we get thrown under the jail, which I don't understand why you don't. I don't know where you coming
I
from when
go by
it comes to
experience.
that,
I'm
but
going by my
we are
experience
known
in
to be thrown
association.
under the jail
Yeah.
and not given, the proper justice as everyone else. I mean, we don't have,
Yeah, sometimes
you know,
that's yeah. No. I'm not gonna say
sometimes.
all the time. Sometimes we don't get the right justice. But guess what? Sometimes they don't neither. Sometimes they don't
Majority of
either.
the time,
Sometimes
we are the
sometimes they
ones that's
get locked
called up.
up quicker. Sometimes they'll get locked up quicker for the fact that they're scared of what the black people in the black community are going to do and say. I've seen
We
that
have
too.
so many cases where that's not the case. I mean, you have to have an outcry for them to get locked up. But when it comes to us, they don't have any thought about it. They just
That's
go ahead
true.
and do it.
That's true too. That it goes both ways. But with this case
Ahmaud
right now,
Arbery, for instance, they come on now.
with this
It's a
case
lot of
right
different
now,
stories where that's the case.
with this case right now, did the Caucasian football player approach, came into the black boy's realm and got killed?
Yes, yes. He didn't
That,
have
that's
any
that.
business in that tent because he's not a track. He doesn't run track. He's football. Why was he even there?
Well, that's gonna go away. That's gonna disappear. That's gonna disappear. But the law enforcement got to do. everything they have to do. You've been affiliated with law enforcement, Sam. Isn't that the natural procedure?
Well, first, before I say anything, there's a few things that Andrea said that, from what I've seen, it wasn't true. The if you go into any high school track meet, there's normally like basically every school in the conference is as that track meet competing. So the two football players that Andrea is talking about, they were actually on the track team for their school. And the young man that was killed, he was a member of his track team from one of the schools that were competing there. That right there, I said earlier, I wait for, discovering things to come out, but those things right there are factual. They were all members of their school's track team. The second thing that I think that was it was the tent. When our son ran track, we were basically at everything, and that's every school has their tent set up to where their trainers are, they congregate, they do those things. And the young man that was killed was under the rival team's tent. Now, I'm not saying by any means that's a reason for anybody to, something to happen to him, especially violent. But I just like to, there are certain things, like I said, the discovery is coming, but everybody involved was a member of their school's track team. That right there is factual. What else is factual is Carmelo Anthony was under the young man that actually died. He was under his team's tent because I guess that's where the commotion started, was why are you over here? Why aren't you over with your school's tent? So I just think there's certain things I don't like to be, I'm kind of like with both of you when it comes to this. I see where they portray people, in the media, on social media, depending on who you support. Like the first thing I saw, I think yesterday, was a picture of the young man that was killed. Him and his brother had some rifles, I guess, and some ducks. Like they went duck hunting or something. And then they showed the Carmelo, the young man that's been charged. He got his middle finger up and he got a AR-15. Like
that's a whole different.
But they cut off the other
picture.
people that was in that picture, though. There was another white boy too in that picture too.
But the thing is I try to look at everything from not devil's advocate. I try to look at everything from different perspectives. That's why I like to speak to different people from different backgrounds, because that's how you gain empathy and understanding for other people. I understand exactly what Andrea is saying as far as, depending on who the law enforcement agency is, but I look at the white police officer who was charged with murder for shooting and killing Sonia Massey. Like he was charged like the next, like a few hours after the investigation, they charged him with murder. So, and he's a white guy. So the thing is like, I've seen it happen. I've seen things happen, but with this right here is, I don't feel being in California, I definitely think that he may, he probably will be acquitted. But at the same time, you look at someone bringing a weapon on school grounds and they end up in a rival tent. And let's say what Andrea is saying, okay, they got in a fight last week at a party.
Yeah.
The thing is you got in a fight with somebody at a party last week, but then at a track meet to where your schools are meeting, you go over to the other team's tent
Correct.
And you sitting under there with your book bag with a knife in it. Now, when you go to a track meet, you go to Wakefield, Ravenscroft, Millbrook, any local school in this area. Those teams, they put their book bags under their tent. There's no kids walking around the track with book bags on. Everybody's stuff is huddled and, at a rally point, for that school. And so for him to have his book bag with him under the rival school's tent, like, that's where I think the discovery will kind of like reveal what's true and what's not. Because Sergio, you could be like, okay, what I'm saying is factual. Andrea could be like, okay, what I'm saying is this. The only thing that I know is they were all members of their track team. They was competing against each other. I know from personal experience, that every school has their own tent set up, shade tent, training tent. They have that in particular areas around that track. So those are the three factual things that I know. As far as the fight last week, Andrea, this is the first time I heard of a fight at a party last week, but the thing is like, why are you bringing? Neither school was considered gang related, where you have a lot of gang affiliates there. So why are you bringing a weapon to a track meet?
That sheds a whole different light.
That could be premeditation.
I changed basically my projected verdict because of that. Now he's gonna wear that charge now.
Well, it was also said, like I was saying, there's a lot of things that's going on social media. I wasn't there, nobody was there to hear.
Right.
So it's a lot of speculation, and like Sam said, we got to wait until actual factual stuff come out. But what was said is that the boys were, of course, he didn't have any business being where he shouldn't have been, but still, that didn't have any, for the guy to try to fight him again, is what I was told, or what I read, is that he was about, he was getting jumped on again at the meet, and that's what's, why the knife came out. Again, I don't know if that's, the truth or not, but yeah.
Yeah, okay, but with that situation, let's put it this way. The determining factors, I think, is going to be hunting versus you're a minor with an AR-15 with a derogative statement.
It was airsoft gun. It wasn't if I was heard again that it was an airsoft gun.
You use a lot of I heard.
Yeah, he just.
Hey, that's what we gonna. That's all we got. We won't.
No. He just said he's seen the pictures of them.
I've seen it too.
You seen?
I also seen the real guns that the other one had too. But
yeah,
nobody's
that was
about
for hunting.
So?
That was for hunting. AR-15 is not for hunting.
This is
he don't. So he don't have a right to have a gun.
Not unless you're 18.
No.
So even those, unless you're
had one. So
could
it's
I
okay
finish?
because he was.
Could I finish?
Some ducks. Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Yeah, big difference.
It's against the law to have a firearm under the age of 21 years old. Now, a rifle or long barrel shotgun is 18 and above. It's
Right.
16 and above, or even 14 and above, depending on your state, if you're under the supervisor, of someone that,
Correct.
is older. So the thing is, like, to me, I don't care about the photos. Like, we talk about airsoft or this or that. I could care less about that. The primary thing is what Marvin Bennett just said, being from Jersey, there's no way he would have been under our tent if he wasn't on our school. You don't congregate under tents of the rival school when you're at a competition. That's almost like you go to a basketball game. You're not going to see one bench people from that bench on the other bench of the on the basketball court or even on the football field.
Never,
You
ever.
stayed to yourself. He should have never even been under the rival school's tent. No matter what you say, Andrea,
I mean, I
that's
agree. He
point
shouldn't have.
blank.
He's
Period.
that's true. He
He
shouldn't
was
have been
over
there.
there with a
True.
book bag with a knife in his bag. Period. It don't matter what happened last week. We
Yeah.
talking about what happened before the young man, the violence happened. And that's why I said we have to really look at, wait for the stuff to come out, because right now we're in this society to where everybody wants to go viral. Everybody wants everything to be blasted, blown out of proportion.
Right,
Everybody
right,
wants
right.
all this stuff. And nobody, Denzel Washington said it perfectly. Everybody wants to be first with releasing the information. And when it comes out to be wrong, instead of apologizing or recanting, they don't say anything. They're just going to radio silence. I just like to wait and hold my assumptions or anything until I see more facts. Right now, I only have 3 facts. They were all members of their school's track team. They was under the young man who's accused of the violence was under the rival school's tent, and he had a book bag with a weapon on school property.
Well, if
Those are
we just go off of facts and don't go off of anything else, Sam, then I would say he was in the wrong. If we just went off the facts. But
Right,
like you
right, right,
said,
right,
we have
right.
to wait until all the information comes out, because I digress. Because, there's some things that, of course I could be wrong because I don't know. I wasn't there. I'm just making a speculation of what I read.
Right, right,
But if we
right,
just
right.
go off of what the facts are, then he done for, of course.
Yeah, but
And it sounds like
as of
premeditation
now,
because of the fact he brought it.
as of now, I feel he's gonna wear it and duly wear it. Yeah. Okay. Well, we will find out because oh, does he have a bond?
It was $1 million, and they're trying to get it reduced. But I think they started a GoFundMe, and GoFundMe basically shuts down any fundraising that has to do with anything criminal, unless you're like the victim. So they went to another site, and I believe they set a goal of $200,000, and I believe an hour ago it was up to like 160K.
And then the other one, both their parents have two separate GoFundMe's, which I don't understand that. One
Well, that's
was
the
twenty
thing. A
thousand.
victim, GoFundMe allows victims, but they
Right.
don't allow, that's their policy with anybody.
Yeah.
No, I'm saying that. I mean, it's one child, so why both parents got separate GoFundMe's?
Uh,
I don't
that's
profit.
normal. That's normal. That happens all the time.
The
Yeah.
the
That
thing
that
is
happens.
with the GoFundMe's, regardless if both parents have it or
Yeah.
one,
Yeah.
to me, the thing is
They might not be together. Anything. Yeah.
people give money. Like if somebody asked me, if my friend Marvin Bennett asked me for $100, I'm either gonna give him that $100 or I'm not. If he doesn't say let me borrow $100, I'm giving that out of my faith. Know him. Those parents that files, just like the young man that raised 160K, some people may be like, well, the attorney may only cost 100K. What he need 160?
Well, they do that all the time.
People are giving what they want to give.
You're right. Most
Yeah.
definitely.
And then the parents may not be together, so it's two different accounts. It could be a whole lot of reasons for that. But anyway, that was very informative and very interesting. I learned some things because I heard briefly about it, but I don't know. I just try to stay away from that that kind of stuff like that woe is me, oh the black man, or if it was white man, if it was this or that, it would have been different. Sometimes yes, but all the time pulling that race card, I'm not with it. Not saying you did that. But anyway, Sam, you had a burning desire that you wanted to talk about.
I wouldn't say it's a burning desire. I was just I was just wanting to you know
Shed some light. Shed some light. Let me put it that way.
yeah, just basically about Elon Musk and what he did with his AI company purchasing Twitter or X, what he renamed. And I was telling people a couple of years ago when he first did it, he wasn't buying it for free speech. He was buying it for the 300 million users. He wanted access to those users. So when he paid that $44 billion, well, 14 billion of his own money, and he borrowed the other 30 billion dollars, he was basically paying $14 billion to access 300 million people's data, their algorithm on Twitter. So after he bought that, he basically released his AI form, Grok, on X. And I think as of 2 months ago, that was worth $80 billion. So what he did, because they're both his companies, he basically, his AI company swallowed Twitter. So basically now Twitter is a part of Gronk. So everything that everybody types into Twitter or X, I'm gonna keep saying Twitter because that's what I always
That's what it's known for,
knew it for.
basically.
Yeah.
So everything that we type into Twitter, news, all that stuff, links, his AI is actually going to utilize that when it answers questions, those things right there. And then he's turning that AI into what he's trying to be is open AI, which is the biggest artificial intelligence company. He's about 50 billion behind them right now. But that's basically what the move to buy Twitter was. It wasn't because he was an advocate of free speech. He wanted users. And that's why I tell people to be mindful of people's intentions. They're moving playing chess while other people are playing checkers. And they're falling for the smoke screens. So
Yeah.
that was just something I thought was real interesting because so many people talk about how unintelligent he is, even though he's the richest person in the world,
World, but he's
individual.
unintelligent.
They
Yeah.
talk about how unintelligent he is when a lot of people don't know that his Tesla vehicles are the only vehicles on Earth that are open source. So anybody can access the technology to improve on. He did that with his Starlink satellite. He did it with his spaceships, his rockets, because he wants everybody to innovate. But the thing is, I think they are licensing it and they are paying him something, but that's what his goal is. He wants to have AI. That's his priority. So I just wanted to, I thought that was interesting that a lot of people, they keep saying how unintelligent he is, and yet he
What's in-
continues to like break barriers in technology, to advance the world.
what's interesting to me is how people talk the most ignorant ass stuff I ever heard in my life. They're talking about, man, this dude don't even pay taxes. When he paid the most taxes than anybody, than everybody all put together. What did he pay? $40 billion in taxes
I
in a
think
certain amount
11
of time.
billion, but I mean, it's still a lot.
That's a lot of
No, no,
money.
no, no, in a certain amount of time. I'm not talking about
No, I'm talking
all
about in
in
one
one drop.
year.
Oh,
In
yeah.
last year, he paid $11 billion.
Okay. Then
That's
they
crazy.
said that, well, Tesla not really his. It belonged to some black man. Hold on. If they was dumb enough to let it get away, that's their fault. Or not to do what he did, that's their fault. I just get tired of the excuses. I really do. I really do. And hope, always hoping instead of action. These people are who they are and have what they have because they put in the action. Damn this hope and dreams. I'm not a big advocate of these hope, and dreams. Do it. Just do it. New Year's resolutions. You know how many? I bet you. I almost guarantee the majority of these New Year resolutions already was broken the first week. You know.
People still do
I'm not.
that.
Yeah, they still do that. Talking about, oh yeah, you see all that. Oh, in 2025 it's gonna be this. I see people doing the same shit they did in 2024 and even worse. You know.
Mm.
So, but Tesla. I mean, me myself. The reason I wouldn't get a Tesla because I don't want nothing. I don't want no full electric vehicle. I want a hybrid. I want to be able to have a full tank and a full battery.
I want to
Uh,
control my car myself. I don't want nobody else controlling my vehicle. Forget that. Might want to roll me off the cliff. I don't want to do that. Nope.
yeah,
Don't want
I
that.
don't. I don't even like having the vehicle that I have. I don't like having it on autopilot myself. Not full autopilot. I have it on semi autopilot every once in a while, but when I have Lovely in there, I definitely don't have it on there. But so, what do you think? Oh, and then this other thing about tearing up the Teslas, throwing Molotov cocktails. That's
That is
domestic
so
terror.
stupid to me.
That's domestic terrorism. Yeah,
It's
and then they
dumb
got
to
a
me.
problem with people. They got a problem with them labeling it as domestic terrorism. That's exactly what it is. You ain't hurting him. No cars no cars are insured. Matter of
They
fact,
all at the dealerships in
at
Raleigh,
the
North
dealership.
Carolina. He ain't
Matter of
there. Well, I
fact,
mean, what?
a matter of fact, you just sold that car for him because he got the insurance for it.
I mean, you already bought it, and then I mean, what? That's just being dumb to me because you already paid
That's
your
dumb.
money. He already got his money for it. How you hurting
Yeah,
him?
yeah, right. And then the ones that he haven't sold, if you go destroy it, insurance paid for it. He just sold that car. It's just, I don't know.
They helping
Uh,
him because of what he ain't selling all the cars because of this stupid stuff they doing. When you burn it up, they being
it
stolen.
really, it just
You get the
really gets
money.
hard to say, my folks. Day by day, it gets hard to say, my people. And it shouldn't be that way, man. I don't like. I don't even like saying my people. I don't even like associate myself with some of these people. What else? What
Well,
else? What else can? What else? What else can we talk about?
yeah,
What? Let me see. How much
yeah.
more time we got?
When it comes to that, I think also, like when Bud people were boycotting Bud Light, guess what they did that affected Bud Light the most? They stopped
What's that?
buying it.
Right.
They literally stopped buying it, and then Bud Light continued to like, okay, we got to find a way to get these people back. If you don't like the car, you don't buy it. The problem with the Teslas is 70%, I believe it's 76% of the people that own Teslas are more liberal. Like they were climate change. They're like, so now they're being bullied into giving up their car, losing the depreciation, and they're thinking, oh, you're supporting Elon Musk. You already bought the car. And if you go to the Tesla website, you literally before that car leaves that factory is paid for. Like they only do pre-orders. Like you may get a used one on a lot, it may have like 800 miles on it or something like that. It was a demo, but every one is already prepaid. That's why you can select yours, and then before you check out, you have to do the financing. You have to pay for that car before you're able to, whether you finance it through a private company, and now Tesla offers financing. You can even pay with Dogecoin and Bitcoin now, but the car's already paid for. But a lot of people are starting to leave left-leaning stuff because of stuff like this. Like you're gonna risk. There was a lady, I think she was in her 60s. A man cut her off on the road, went up to her car. She rolled a window down and was like, what's wrong? And he started punching her in the face because she drove a Tesla. So it's just things like that. And then people don't understand also that Tesla's got all these cameras on them.
All
So
around the car.
all these people keying the cars, like
Stupid.
You haven't known that these cars at every angle, even the interior, it has a camera.
Soon as you walk anywhere near that car, you can the camera. I mean, that's just crazy. Yes.
Yeah, so I just think it's to me it's hypocritical. It's a bunch of people who talk about okay, we're the party of tolerance, we're the party of understanding, but that's only if I say what you want to say or I do what you want me to do. Anytime I step out of line, you want to have that little sheepdog come in and herd me back into the group. And that's the thing that I don't like. I believe everybody should have their own opinions. You shouldn't be penalized for it. Yeah, we may not always agree, but to me, that's how we gain empathy to understand other people around us.
It's like a party of followers. To me,
Pretty much.
it's just a party of followers. I mean, I've always went against the grain. That didn't always work out good for me, but here lately, this world is so corrupt. Me going against the grain has been very beneficial to me. Very beneficial, and like follower seeking and all of that. I really don't care about that. I prefer to have leaders. You know, surround myself with leaders. And I mean, I learned. Every time I do this show, I learn something different. Certain topics that I know we're going to speak on. Yeah, I do my research and study, but sometimes I like to come in blind because I like learning. And with this situation uh with Carmelo Anthony, and then too, I'm gonna tell you what else. I'm gonna tell you what else gives that situation a little bit more light. What gives it a little bit more light is because of his name too. You know, it's a very recognizable name because of who Carmelo Anthony is. Just like I didn't, I like what Carmelo got to do with it. I will hope he don't need no damn money. But I don't know. Lala did tear his mouth off, didn't she? She did tear. She tore his mouth off. But anyway, next week, I want you guys to be ready. We're going to be talking about relationships in the
Okay.
world of dating.
Oh boy.
How? Yes, we're gonna switch it up sometime. I'm tired of talking about the same thing. Uh, politics. Try to cater to some other people. Some people really have some issues with relationship, and then we sometimes we're going to be talking about sexuality, spirituality, religion, uh, and get on my damn engineer's nerve. That's one of his favorite topics, religion. So yeah, we're going to be mixing it up, switching it up, guys. But let me see. It is. Oh shoot! No, we got actually we got 16 more minutes. Y'all got some no burning desires or anything else? Any developments since we've been on? Have y'all noticed any developments? I got mine on News Nation. I love. Y'all like News Nation? I
Yeah.
love News
I
Nation.
see some of it.
They bipartisan. They don't sugarcoat anything, and I like that. They get on my winter Trump sometime too. I like that because everything. I'm not down with everything, but the majority, yes. Uh, and as we speak right now, while we are doing this, I mean, y'all might see me looking up. I'm paying attention, but I am totally deleting a lot of people right now as I'm giving my Facebook an enema. Right. Getting rid of a lot of bullshit, and especially the followings who I've been following. And I'm like, for what? Why the hell was I following you? Sometimes I think Facebook be doing it, making you follow some people. But yeah, we're gonna mix it up from now on. Uh, I'm gonna have a co-host by the name of Courtney Green starting next Monday, and we're gonna welcome Mr. Roy Mangrum and and Gigi. Next week, hopefully Hawthorne will be back off his set. He's shooting a major motion picture. So that's why he hasn't been with us recently. Uh don't know about Lyric yet, but anyway, we still got 9 minutes. So you know what I did want to touch base on about how is do you think that Doge is gonna attack the Treasury, Sam?
Do I think Doge is going to attack the Treasury?
Well, I mean, not. I didn't mean to say attack. I didn't mean to say attack. I didn't mean to say attack. But you think they're next?
Oh, every agency they said it, and that's what people don't understand. Like Doge is all it is what Obama created back when he was running for his second term.
He was doing the same thing.
All Trump did in his executive order in section 3 of that executive order was state that the name was changing from the United States Digital Service to Doge. That's the reason why Trump didn't have to run it through Congress to get approval, because it had already been approved. So financing, all that stuff is there. And if his goal is to I think the Senate just approved their bill for the no tax on tips, no tax on overtime or Social Security. That just went through today or earlier today. And then they just let the bug out the bag that his goal is, under 150K, you don't pay federal income tax.
Right.
Like, who wouldn't want that? So it's one of those things that, when Bill Clinton did it, it was fine. And people have to look back to when Bill Clinton was the president. That's why he got reelected. He was the first president in the last 20, 30 years to have a balanced budget. But he also fired 400,000 federal employees. He also gutted a lot of federal grants and programs. And then when Obama ran his first time, he made a lot of promises. He didn't keep those, especially for the pro-abortionists, with the Freedom of Choice Act. Once he told them that that's no longer his priority, and the people were like, you don't have an excuse because you have 59 seats in the Senate. I mean, you have 49 seats in the Senate. No, 59, excuse me. And then you have the 2 independent seats. So that's 61. That's filibuster proof. And then you had the House. But he just chose to push through LGBTQIA stuff and his Affordable Care Act. And when he told all them people, mostly happened to be a bunch of white women, he told them freedom of choice is not my priority, that Freedom of Choice Act. So he had to find something else to run on. And that's when he said, well, Bill Clinton ran on this. So he started a campaign on that, and he basically created the United States Digital Service and got the funding for it. And he was supposed to go through and do exactly what Trump is doing right now. And that's literally all Trump is doing is what Clinton and Obama was doing.
Why do you think it's such a big fluff that Trump is doing it though?
Because they don't like him.
But they just don't like him.
He was on the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. He was on The View all the time. He was on Oprah. Everybody was cool. Jesse Jackson took hundreds of thousands of dollars from him. Al Sharpton took all that money from him. But now, because we're told by power brokers in politics, he's the enemy. So that's what they look like. They can't get past anything that he's doing that's going to help people, especially service workers, people that work, a lot of people that work overtime. That literally, and then the fact that now he's saying that if the car is built in the US, you'll be able to write the finance charges off on your taxes. He's like, a car is something you need for life. just like you do a home. So if we can write off the interest of a mortgage, why can't we write off the interest for a car finance? His only stipulation is the car has to be built here in the US. And you have all these companies now. Ford has increased their Indiana plant. All Stellantis is now opening. Honda's opening a factory in Ohio, reopening their factories. Like that, those are jobs. And I can't understand why people wouldn't want that. And then I have to pay tax on all the auto workers that work all this overtime. Like you can literally work overtime and because of the taxes have to pay, like your take home check is less because that
Yeah, they kill
overtime
you with that.
puts
Shoot.
you in the next tax bracket. So now instead of being taxed 22%, you're taxed at 28%. So you can make less money. He's talking about removing all that, and it's probably going to go through. And look at what happened in Wisconsin. He's like, everybody's like, oh, we don't want voter ID in this. Here in North Carolina, we voted on it back in Roy Cooper when he first ran. It won. 77% of Black people that were registered voted for it. Wisconsin just had it on their last week on their election, their special election. Guess what? 79% of the people in Wisconsin said we want voter ID. Like, so why hate something that the majority is fine with? Like all the Black folks that I know, I actually don't know one over 18 that don't have an ID. You know,
If you drive, you got an ID.
Or will call if you buy cigarettes, alcohol, you know, to get a library card, to get on the train, to fly. You have to have an ID. So I see that as an argument that people use, but me personally, over 18, I don't know one person that doesn't have one.
Me neither.
I like this too, man. I see like they complain about. I see people just fucking freaking whiners. I mean, especially over there on the left. I mean, first of all, it's really simple. If you're left, it's impossible to be right. So that's self-explanatory right there. But you complain about the kids being graduating dumber than a bag of rocks. You complain about they're being pushed through school. Then when somebody comes and fix that, you got a problem with it. I just can't comprehend these people's mentality. I just don't. I really don't.
That's never gonna make people happy. That's all.
Huh?
And you know what that's called, Sergio?
What's that,
It's
man?
called a compassionate promotion. So when you have let's say a young man in middle school and he's in the 6th grade, he fails. He's in the 7th grade, he fails. He goes to the 8th grade. By the time he gets 17 years old, he's in middle school still. What they'll do is they call it a compassionate promotion. So they will promote and push him on to high school. And that's literally the majority of the kids in our community as felon. That's what's happening. It's not that they're not smart or intelligent. It's like nobody is challenging them. Everybody is coddling them. And I think that's the issue with the Department of Education, where I hear all these people talking about, oh, he's gonna shut down Department of Education and this and that. I'm sitting there like, don't I hear you always complaining about how your school don't do what it's supposed to do? And they say, well, it's the people in DC, it's out of our hands. Now they're trying to move the people from DC to your
Put it back in the state.
Exactly. Like if you're here in Raleigh, the Department of Education building is right downtown, 8 minutes, up New Bern Avenue. Like you can literally talk to the person that's addressing the education in your community. Like who wouldn't want that access? So I think that's the main thing when it comes to like the education side. And the Black community cannot allow or rely on these teachers to do the job that a lot of parents are supposed to do.
Because they're not even getting paid right. They don't give a damn.
Yeah, I mean they're making like I'll put it this way. If you're a good teacher, you're not just, when you get your paycheck, I guarantee you that there are teachers that are buying book bags, clothes for these students. When these students get to school with whatever their parents sent them to school in, it could be holy, all this, they tell them go to the bathroom and change. Like, there are teachers that are doing that. And I
Yeah.
feel that, I've said before, to me, if you're starting out as a teacher straight out of school, you shouldn't make less than 60K. And it should be like based off your years, your experience, your certifications. But to me, the baseline should be 60, because kids spend more time with the teachers than they do at home.
Mm-hmm.
If you take away the hours
I
that they
think
sleep.
I think it should be way more than that, to be honest.
Me too. I think they should be the most paid, because who don't need a teacher? We all needed one.
We just need
I
them to
think they
teach
should
the
be
right
paid.
stuff. We need them to teach reading, math,
Well, if you
science.
pay them, I believe they would do a lot better if they were being paid for what they do.
Yeah, and here, like here in North Carolina, you can get what they call emergency certification. You don't even have to have a degree or nothing. You can actually
I was actually going to be a teacher.
fill out. What you say?
And I was going to be a teacher, and they just took my classes that I had got my bachelor's degree. They took some of those classes. I only had to have 3 classes that I had to take, which none of the classes I took had anything to do with education, but they were
You know
willing
what,
to
y'all?
accept
We
those.
gotta do our outro right now. We only got 2
Okay.
minutes. So you know what? We're gonna address this again next week along with relationship. So y'all think of some topics, man. Remember, we're gonna be mixing it up with sexuality, spirituality, religion, and politics, So until then,
All right.
peace, love, and hair grease. And I'll see you winners next Monday at 8:30.
All right.
Play like that. Appreciate